Welcome to the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society podcast. This is an organic podcast discussing topics beyond the fringe of this or any other reality. On this podcast, we explore cryptids, cryptonology, paranormal activity, lost legends, aliens, government conspiracies, historic mysteries, lost treasure, forbidden archaeology, and the edge of reality. I am the Cryptid Guy, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Daniel Tiny Hurst. Together, we explore the files of the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. Tiny, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good, actually. A lot of good things going on.
Such as?
Well, my biggest, happiest accomplishment is going to happen next week, actually.
And why don't you explain to our wonderful fans and audience what that is? Because I'm proud of you, too.
Well,
because you've come a long way in the last couple of years, my brother.
I have. And I don't know if we really discussed any of that, my illness and things on there, but I have. And
well, why don't you talk about what you're comfortable talking about, man?
Previously, actually getting a college degree was a big accomplishment for me. As far as I know, I'm the first one in my family to do so. But next week, I'll be making my last house payment.
Unbelievable. The last one.
Yeah.
You excited?
I am completely excited. It's almost actually a little surreal.
Really?
Yeah. And now, once I get it paid off, now begins the rebuild. And see, that's funny because, and a lot of our listeners know, I'm a man of stature.
You ain't small.
So, on this rebuild, everything is going to be built to Daniel specifications.
Does that include the concrete toilet?
Yes. It's going to be a raised toilet as well, capable of handling my protein-filled diet.
9,000 the 9,000 psi toilet, ladies and gentlemen. Tiny's invented that. You can literally flush twigs.
If you
mulch, golf balls.
If you flush while you're still on it, you might have a hickey on your butt cheek.
You might have an intestinal issue. So, Tiny, and again, I'm very proud of you and all your accomplishments because I don't think people really know what you went through. And if you want to talk about that, that's fine because I know you're coming towards. There is definitely the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think you've ever looked so good.
Well, thank you.
And you pulled. Again, I don't know how much you want to talk about, but I will say this, and if I'm over something, please let me know, and if it's too much, we'll take it out. But, 3 years ago? 4 years ago, basically, Tiny got pretty much the worst news anyone could get, health-wise. As one of his closest friends, I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I remember I don't get too emotional, but I actually had to lock myself in my room for a couple hours just to kind of wrap my head around what was going on. But yet again, Tiny has defied all odds. Not only come back from something that probably would have just leveled most people to the point where they were just giving up, but he is back on top. He's got a career, great job, and home ownership. That doesn't mean paying a mortgage, my friends. He's going to own. He's got one more payment.
Well, I'll actually pay it off this week.
He'll pay next week. He's paying it off. So that is a big deal. And then you're going to pay off the car.
Yes. Yep. I'll pay off the car, pay off the house, and all of this. I don't know how I did it, to be honest. Because when
I worked hard, man.
When I got sick, I had a very rare disorder. In fact, one in 800,000 people. And I really, I don't mind talking about it because it may help somebody, and that's while we do what we do. That includes even personal stuff like that. Is called Pityriasis rubra pilaris, or PRP for short. And they don't know what causes it, don't know how to cure it. They just kind of throw medicine at it and see what happens. And it's been rough. At one point, I nearly died. I actually remember that night pretty well. And I was, when I got sick, my ex-fiance left. And
the day of.
Yeah. And just kind of left me high and dry. I couldn't work. I could barely care for myself. And I remember about a year in, I was laying in bed because I couldn't walk. I could barely move. And I was laying in bed. All I wanted to do was sleep. It's the only comfort that I had. And I remember rolling over, and I remember so much physical and emotional pain at that point. Just trying to roll over was difficult. And I was ready to go. I was absolutely done with this world. And I don't have the nerve to actually do anything about it because I've seen what happens when that don't work. But being a paranormal person, being a spiritual person, the only thing that I can say is my spirit, the part of me that is actually me, not flesh, was done. And when I rolled over, I had this quote unquote dream where I visited people that had been important and influential in my life. Some I hadn't seen in 20 years. And I had these discussions with them. And they were very open, very real conversations. It was basically what I was doing was I was tying up loose ends and saying things that I always needed to say to these people. And it went on for what felt like a long time, but of course these things are much quicker than what they feel. Yeah. And had these conversations, and the last conversation that I had was with my dogs.
It's always the dog.
And I told my dogs why I wouldn't be there in the morning. I was explaining to them, why I wouldn't be there. And I remember my freaking Boston Terrier. It was my Boston Blackie. Nothing but a fat snore fart machine. He spoke for the rest of them, and he said, "If you go, we want to go. We don't want to be here without you, because who's going to take care of us?" And that's has always been one of my biggest fears. I've always been blessed with quote unquote special animals, and this is the helmet wearing, window licking kind of special. And, nobody's going to take care of these animals like
we got an edit at 1910.
If they went to a shelter or something like that,
I told you that would never happen.
I know, but it's still a fear.
I know.
And it's a good thing that it's a fear, because it was at that moment that I decided to stay.
I was there when all that was going on, and it was impressive just to see how strong Tiny is as a human being for the stuff he was going through. And I can't. Here's the thing that I could never get over, and it wasn't even my place to be upset. But the day before Tiny found us all out, me, him, his ex-fiance, we all went and had dinner, and everything. It was just so like it was just pleasant, and the whole time she had been planning to leave. Didn't tell you. Didn't she have another place lined up too?
She always had another place.
Yeah,
she had another man lined up.
No, she had another man lined up, which I just thought that was just the tackiest. I've just there's a few things, again, people say things about me. They can say things about me. You want to call me something or whatever, that's fine. But it's one of those cases when you pick on my friends, I take that personal. And I always just thought that was just the sleaziest kind of, we don't talk badly about people on this show. We're not going to start, but it was just, there's a certain type of decorum you expect some people to have. And it's just when you lose your humanity over nothing, It's very sad because I actually feel sorry for this person these days.
Well, and that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, life takes care of itself. So, I've let that go. I've had to, because, it's about me. And that's not really what's important anyway. But when I woke up the next day after making that decision to stay here and not leave, that's when I started healing. But now the interesting part about that, and where I guess the listeners would be fascinated with that, is I had people that morning start calling me and go, Are you okay? I had this really weird dream about you last night. And I found that interesting, which, at a young age, I could astrally project. I could leave my body, and that was when I found out, when I started doing that, actually, when I found out that I had a brother that was hanging around me, which I know that we've talked about on the show before. Mm-hmm. That's when I found out. But I began actually healing the next day. But there was several months that I honestly can't remember. I don't know how I paid my bills. I don't know how I ate. There was a few, well, I can't say few, because there wasn't a few. There were 3 or 4 angels in my life. And, y'all, did any of them listen to the podcast, but just in case, you know who you are.
On the offshoot.
Yeah, and you're definitely appreciated. But I don't know how I made it here. I don't know how I done it. I know I sold a lot of things, but all of that makes handing that last house payment in so much sweeter.
Well, and you deserve it too, man. I mean, think about it. You like literally own the joint,
and it's in Asheville.
That is, that's the other, and it's a big lot. I keep telling them, what lots. Is it, 3 lots? Mm-hmm. Tiny's got 3 lots in Asheville, ladies. So if you're looking, to make a big paycheck, I know he's available. He has a discriminating taste, though. So.
Christian, Tiny's pimp.
Yeah, well, someone's got to do it.
It's not an easy job, my friend.
No, it's not. Tiny, speaking of your house is in a very interesting, your property, and I'm not just talking about your house, and I'm talking about the property in general. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Paranormal. Let's call it what it is. It's paranormal in nature. Mm-hmm. And I know some crazy stuff's been going on out there. So why don't you tell everyone what's been going on at Casa del Tiny?
Well, I think worldwide right now there's changes happening. I think that, and we've talked about it before, I know we have, that paranormal and cryptid activity in all realms has been ramping up everywhere. My house is no exception. When I first moved in there, the family that owned this house and built this house, absolutely amazing people. Like they're the type of people that give you faith in humanity, right? And I mean, so you know how the economy is in Asheville. When I first moved in there, the gentleman that owned it, the patriarch of the family, you know how much he rented that house to me for?
No clue.
$250 a month.
The whole house?
Yeah.
$250?
Yeah. What kind of person does that?
Someone that's fiscally secure.
Yeah. Well, he was a very good guy. And it wasn't long after I moved in that he passed away. He hand built that house. He raised 3 generations of his family in that house. And he was there with me. I could hear him. End of the day, I'd hear him walk on the porch. I'm in the house. I'd hear footsteps through the house. He dropped change in my change bucket one night. No kidding.
We can swing around here if he wants to do that.
So I know, the place has had activity. My ex, when she lived there with me, not the one that left, the one before her. I've been in this house a minute. She had 5 kids. The kids saw stuff all the time.
I still can't believe you had 5 kids in that house.
7 people in that house, man. I have learned how to build walls really well.
Yes.
But physical walls, y'all. I try not to build the others, although they are there. But it's always been populated, right? And which is fine with me. I can coexist with non-nasty stuff. That stuff I have to get rid of. But I have a lot of stuff. And I think the area in general has activity. But that being said, about, I guess it's probably been about 6 months ago now. I had a very short relationship with a woman. And I regret it.
Yeah, but in all fairness to you, that one kind of fooled everyone because I thought she was a sweetheart.
Well, she was. She just had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I don't regret it because I dislike her, blame her, or anything like that. I regret it because, it messed up a friendship.
No, I understand.
And it could have been good, but regardless, it's done. It's over. Now she fancied herself as a little bit of a witchy type person, which is fine. I'm good with that. I'm down with the witches, y'all.
Tiny prefers them. What's the truth?
Well, I mean, you want to be honest, I'm a little witchy myself.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it that much, but I have my own practices and things. But she had some negative entities around her. And I think that was, there was a lot of things there. We don't need to go into all that, but she had some negatives. And I'm not afraid of negatives because I have a whole lot of stuff around me that, either warns me or takes care of that stuff. Now, I didn't realize that I had what I do on my property. I have since discovered, and that's why, going back just a little bit, when I said, activity's ramping up, it has at my house too. I have discovered that I have some very old things on my property. Some very protective things on my property. And I really found this out after me and this young lady broke up. And it was kind of nasty, unfortunately. She sent me some stuff that she had of mine. She sent it in the mail. with a pretty nasty little note. And she had told me previously that there were things where she lived that she flat out called them demons, that were always offering to do things for her, to take care of things for her. And with that stuff that she sent them with it. As soon as I opened the package, I felt it. As soon as I opened the package, everything on my property went nuts. I could feel it. It was so intense, so intense. And the thing you got to think about, and this really stands for for lack of a better way of putting it, any paranormal location, right? Okay, so we know that it holds energy. We know that intent is energy, so forth and so on. We know that. And y'all listening, if you want me to go a little bit more into detail about that particular subject, let us know. Email us, comment it, whatever. We'll do a whole nother podcast on that. I know we tend to focus on cryptid stuff here, but I'm a paranormal guy at heart, and I continually learn all the time. But we can go more into that. I just won't right now. But that land and that property was created with love. The house was built with love. This family, it's an amazing family, right? So that's still there. Even with the families that I've had live with me, regardless of how that ended, there was still love. That's my property. I loved all of those people, regardless of how it ended up. That's still there. That intention, that good positivity, that high vibration, whatever you want to call it, that's what's there protected. Okay? So she sent these demons, and I'm sure a little bit of spell work on this stuff too, because a couple of those things were very personal to me that she had. And as soon as I opened it, I hate to do this, y'all, because I try not to use the trendy words for things, but I don't have a better descriptive. As soon as I opened it, I felt the negativity on it, and I began getting a download. And again, I hate to use that word, but it's an effective word. But all of this stuff on my property, source, God, Buddha, Zeus, whatever you want to call the higher power that's out there, it don't matter what you call it. It's a higher power. Started telling me, okay, this is what you need to do. Okay, and I have my own cleansing rituals. I do, stuff like that. I'm Christian. You've seen me.
Oh yeah.
Fight some nasties. This was nothing that I do. That's why I believe it came from something else. And it took 2 days. It was a long process, and I won't go into the whole process, but I was being told to do it, and by God, I listened.
Well, a lot of people don't realize too that when you're dealing with someone that'll go, for lack of a better term, dark side. If they get personal items of yours, they can. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and if you don't handle it properly, or have the right people, or have the knowledge for it, it can go ugly early. And I remember the phone call.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, because we were supposed to go out that night, and you're like, I got to handle this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need help, and you get like, no, I don't want you exposed to this. I don't know how powerful it is. I mean, that was the conversation we had, was like, because we have some other friends that we've got a friend of ours that basically we just send her in when there's nothing else. There's no one else can come in here and fix it. And I don't think she'd mind us using her name. Do you?
I don't think so.
I don't think her name is Shelly Wright, and Shelly's been a dear friend of ours for years. And when she's like the A team for the paranormal, especially when it comes to like demonic or any kind of infestation. If no one else can help you, if she can squeeze you into her schedule, and Shelly will definitely do the job and get it done right in the first time. She's helped me out numerous times. She's helped clients of ours out. We'll get phone calls, people having crazy stuff going on. If we can't figure it out, we'll call Shelly, and Shelly's like, all right, I'll meet you at Starbucks, and here, sprinkle this in the house, blah, blah, blah. And, she's helped. I on the top of my head, I can think of 5 people in the last 2 years. She's just helped us out with cleaning out their houses and fixing their living situations and making their home a home again. And she's like our go-to. And I was talking to Tiny, and I'm like, are you going to be able to handle this? He goes, I don't know, but I'm going to give it a try. But he handled it. But it is nice having Shelly in the back pocket, if you need something done. I mean, Shelly, help me.
And she's helped me.
Yeah.
From a distance, she's helped me.
Yeah.
But I have also on the property, I have what I have deemed a guardian tree. And I think that I have 2 now. As you remember when I accidentally found myself in that Vedic community several years ago?
Oh, yes.
Folks, I don't know if we've talked about that.
No, we haven't talked about
on air, but that was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. By the time I got out of that community and down that mountain, I was in tears. I was shaking. I did not know what was going on. And my only thought was to get to my house and sit under this one particular tree. Now, I have an affinity with nature. I thoroughly believe in nature beings. They're there. They've revealed themselves to me, and they are starting to a little bit more. But through this ritual, when whatever was telling me to do this ritual, once it was finished, all of the remnants of everything that I needed, what was sent to me, everything, I was told to bury it under this tree in my yard. Now, it wasn't the guardian tree. This tree was planted actually by one of my exes years ago, and it was planted with very good intentions, with hope, with all of that positivity. This was before everything went bad, obviously. And it's a little pear tree. And I don't know if pears are significant in the community that we do, or pear trees. If anybody does know, shoot me a message to let me know. It'd be interesting to know. But this little tree is doing amazing in my backyard. And I was told to bury it all under it. Now, when I was being told all this stuff, I had the initial cleansing done. And I had to go outside and I had to sit under this one tree. And that's what I'm calling my guardian tree. And I sat there. And as I sat there, I could hear things in my yard. I could hear them walking. I could feel energy just crawling over me, up and down. I could feel it everywhere. It was like a battlefield. It was intense. It was amazing. And I'm glad that my stuff won.
Well, I mean, of course you're happy your side won. I don't know if you'd be sitting here if it hadn't.
It really gave me a lot of faith. And it gave me a reason of why I was blessed enough to wind up there, and why, even through that illness and everything else, that I've managed to stay there somehow.
Well, like I said, people have no idea what you went through, and that's really your business to talk about it. But it baffles me that I mean you'd never even know today. If anything, I think you look better now than you did because you lost weight. You're getting back in shape. I mean, Tiny's he works out almost every day just in his job alone. So it's things happen for a reason. Things happen for a reason. I myself I've had a few medical issues. Nothing that you've had to go through. I mean, mine were pretty minor, but I had to have a toe fusion. So basically, I have a titanium toe now. Big toe that's titanium.
The bionic toe.
It's bionic toe.
It's the beginning.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get the whole thing done. Me and Wolverine. So it's been keeping us.
You remember the oh god, that old show, what was it? $1 million,
$6 million man. Man.
Yeah, he fought Bigfoot.
Yeah, he did. He did. So, Andre the Giant, man.
Yeah,
highest rated episode of all time. Says something, folks. Bionic Bigfoot. Anyway, like I said, I just had a few medical issues here and there, and it kept us out of the investigating realm for a little bit.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it sucks, but it's true. That's what happened. And then, we both have work and different jobs and getting stuff timed right. Tiny would have one weekend off. I wouldn't, just things like that. So that's kind of why we've been absent for a little bit. But we're hoping to rectify that. And, in life, you go through some personal stuff. And, I'm no exception. I've had some family issues and some other things going on. So that's unfortunately taken up a good chunk of my time. And in my professional life, I'm kind of at a crossroads right now because I'm not sure exactly what I want to do. I want to remain doing what I'm doing. I just don't know if I'm doing it in the right place, if that makes sense. And, I'm definitely leaving this one up to God. If something opens up in different category, then we'll see about that avenue. But as for now, I think I'm probably going to stay where I am. And because of that, I'll probably be moving from Asheville closer to a different area.
And
but
I'm jealous.
Hey, man, at least you own your house.
True enough. I mean, it's a weird thing because I mean, just to be honest, I hate Asheville. I really do, but I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and that's where I want to be again.
And that's not Asheville. Yeah. We have grown as a city, that is for sure. It is, I've been up here, 13 years? And it is completely different than from when I got up here. It's 100% different. So I see what you're saying, because it used to be that closed kind of community, and now it's huge. It just keeps expanding and expanding, and I get that. And it's expensive. It's real expensive. And something else, Tiny and I were talking earlier, doing our pre-show interview, and we decided just to be more personable, we were going to talk about some of the recent movies we've seen that we enjoyed. And Tiny, why don't you talk about what you've seen and enjoyed lately? Tiny's Corner, Tiny's Movie Corner.
So, I watched Spider-Man Far From Home the other night.
Good movie.
And y'all, if you hadn't figured it out yet, we're both a couple nerds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with that. Just perfectly honest, I'm okay with that. And that is by far the best Spider-Man that I've seen yet. I think they're finally getting Spider-Man right. They need to leave Batman alone. They just can't get that one right. They just cannot do it. I have not seen the new one yet, and I refuse to pay to see it just because of who's playing Batman.
It was terrible.
Was it? But I think they're finally getting it right. But one of the things that interests me about the Marvel universe is the universe, the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me, the more that I delve into the paranormal, the more I lean toward the multiverse theory. I really do. And I think a lot of these movies, like Spider-Man, actually kind of might get it right. And I think that goes back to a theory that we've talked about a couple of times, is that, movies are doing nothing but preparing us.
Well, I mean, as far as Spider-Man going, I think that's one of the best Marvel movies they've done. It's actually, because we were talking about this earlier, I'm a big Joseph Campbell fan, Hero with 1,000 Masks, things like that. And that is the true hero saga. Like Tiny and I were talking about that last night. If I had those powers, I told Tiny straight up, if I had those powers, I'd be like some golf guru or some, sports hero. There's no way I'd be jumping around, living, in a box apartment pretty much with one suit of clothes, going out risking my life every night. They don't make people like that. I guess that's why it's a movie. But the storyline is just incredible because, I mean, look at the way they ended that. The kid, you're talking about, Peter Parker was going to MIT or Harvard.
I don't know, should we talk? I mean,
I don't know. That'd be spoiler, right? Yeah, you know what? We won't. I don't want to do that to people. That's not cool. In case you haven't seen it.
It's a great movie. I highly recommend seeing it.
And I love the way they brought in the other two individuals. I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think the one that was amazing did a great job. I think he made it. Because I didn't realize how good of an actor he was actually until that one. Because that was very well done.
Well, let me ask you something. You talk about being a golf superhero or something like that.
Golf superhero. Golf man.
Golf man. I only need one club.
It's just a putter. That's it.
The
wedge.
And you said, what was it you said? You just said it. You guess that's why there's not people like that?
Yeah.
But, maybe not superheroes as we think traditionally. But, there are some superhumans out there.
I'm still, I don't know about superhuman. I got to see it. I don't believe that there's someone that's, going to be able to climb walls or jump 40 feet.
Well, I mean, that, is a bit extreme.
Yeah.
But you think about the people, well, I mean, honestly, they're like sideshow freaks. The people that will, put a rod through their arm and not bleed.
But I've seen that. I've seen martial artists do that.
Well, there again,
it's training.
The Shaolin Monks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now those monks, granted, it takes years and years, a lifetime of training to do what they do, but that's pretty superhuman.
No, those guys aren't superhuman, dude. They're Jedis. They're straight up Jedis. I know they can use the Force. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, a Jedi would be superhuman.
I don't know. I mean, he's got the midichlorians. What would you rather be? Would you rather be Spider-Man or a Jedi?
How about Spider-Man with a
lightsaber? Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm down.
I mean, can you imagine? Throw your lightsaber, hit it with your web, bring it back.
Well, I mean, but the Force, they don't, Vader. Anyway. But speaking of that, have you been watching Obi-Wan?
I have.
What do you think about it?
They're doing good. It's shaping up to be a good
Why are
series.
people complaining about this show? I think it's awesome. Dude, that last episode with Vader, now you see why he was so bad. I mean, they're finally showing Vader like in his prime.
I have not went that far yet.
Oh, man, I'm not going to wreck it for you, but he does something at the end of that show. You're like, oh, snap.
Well, but there's the thing. There's always something that turns somebody. Somebody always does something to make a supervillain. They're not born in.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, here's the thing. Here's the start. All right, if we're going to nerd out, I'm going to nerd out.
Let's nerd out.
So here's the thing I've always had with Star Wars. Obi-Wan was a schmuck. That's his best friend. That's like his little brother. He lops the guy's leg off and his arm off, and then he leaves him to burn in a lava flow. What kind of friend does? I don't care how mad you are at the guy. He could have been. You still could have brought him back into the light at that point, and you leave him there to freaking die. I've always had a problem with that. That is just. And you know what else I've always had a problem with is like, when they're always talking about honor and all this crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 2 Jedis attacking 1 Sith guy. You know, it's like, what is it? What happened in a mano a mano? Where's the honor in that? You know, where's the honor in 2 guys double teaming someone? Well, especially with lightsabers, man. I mean, come on, have some class. So those are my issues with Star Wars. I've always like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now I love the show. I love Ewan McGregor. I do. I think he's awesome. I mean, to me he looks just like Alec Guinness. I mean, he might as well be Alec Guinness. But the fact is, he screwed his best friend / little brother over by leaving him in that. I don't care how bad he was. What was he going to do in that condition? All he had to do was pick him up and take him to say. That's all he had to do. It would have taken him 2 seconds. He could have force grabbed him.
Right.
I mean, the guy couldn't have weighed more than 40 pounds at that point. Force grab him and take him with him, and then boom, boom, boom. All right.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You say always 2 Jedi to 1 Sith.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, look at the movie. Look at when they took on Darth Maul. It was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
But you know what that sounds like?
What?
It sounds like
The light is truly afraid of the dark.
No, it doesn't. It's cheap. It's dishonorable. There's no. You should. You know, they mock these guys off the samurai warriors, and you know, in Japan, and you know, they kind of use those as at one point in time. Are they ever gonna, you know, is a samurai ever gonna dishonor the Bushido code and do something like that? It's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always had a problem with that, because in the first 3 movies, I don't think that ever was even an idea. I mean, look, you got Luke Skywalker taking on Darth Vader in his prime in Empire without any help from anyone.
Right.
And he got a beat down, but you know what? He still got Vader a couple times. Remember, he got him in the shoulder. No one else has done that. Obi-Wan didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an awesome scene, though, where he's in that fire.
I am what you made me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, I can't remember the first Star Wars movies.
They're awesome, dude. You need to watch them. Those are legend. It's like Indiana Jones 5. I'm worried about what they're going to do with that, because I actually kind of liked the paranormal guy in me liked the crystal skulls, because I always thought those were cool. You know, the interdimensional life. You know, that to me that makes sense. But I'm a little concerned what they're doing in this new one, because apparently there's
my favorite
time travel in this one.
My favorite crystal skull movie. You know what it was? You might not know it.
What?
This might be something a lot of people don't know. House 2.
With William Catt?
I don't know who's in it. It was like an 80s
Yeah,
movie.
that's William Catt.
It was a horror comedy, I guess. Yeah. Hilarious. If you hadn't seen it, watch it. It's worth it.
You know what my favorite 80s horror movie is?
What?
Fright Night.
Oh, yeah.
The original Fright Night.
Yeah.
I have the soundtrack for that somewhere. Fright Night. That was best. I think it's still one of the best vampire movies of all time. Jerry Dandridge.
Mm-hmm.
And Roddy McDowall. How good was that guy? What was his what was his name? Mr. Vincent. Peter Vincent.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And then they did the remake. The remake was good. That had David Tennant in it. That was good. But unfortunately, that kid passed away that played the young guy. I can't think of his name. But the other thing we were talking about earlier is Tiny. What did you do this weekend? This was kind of cool.
So here at the Ag Center in Asheville, we had a pop-up psychic fair, and they had various vendors. You know, it really wasn't that big. I kind of expected it to be bigger, but they had people that done all sorts of divination and divination.
Sounds good.
Yeah, they read fortunes. They had a lot of people that do that. They had a woman up there that took pictures of your aura, things like that. And of course, they had vendors selling various products. Like I said, it wasn't that big. I expected it to be much bigger, but it was crowded. Which was good. But it was really interesting. I could have honestly sat down and had a reading with everybody there, because it fascinates me. I read cards and coins myself. Mm-hmm. But I picked one out. I looked at this paper and I picked one. It's the only one that really jumped out at me. And it turns out she was a native lady. And I'm not sure what her modality was, but she had on the table, she had this big cloth and it had various symbols and stuff on it. And in the middle, she had stones, bones, and little carvings of stuff. She made me swirl it clockwise, and she read that. And it got kind of deep, honestly. She hit on a few topics that I didn't say anything about. You know how I am.
Yeah.
I don't let anybody know anything because I know how that works, and I don't believe anything until I experience it. Just like with Reiki healing, for example, it's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to dog you for believing in it, but I've not experienced it, so I don't know. I'm not going to make a judgment. I experienced it. It's freaking amazing. The same with psychics. The same with intuitives, things like that, right? So she hit on some stuff that.
To a believer.
Yeah.
You're a believer in this one.
Yeah. I want to. She gave me her card. She's in Mills River. I think I'm going to go to her for a longer.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go to her one more time and you're happy with her, I'll go.
Cool.
Because you know how I feel about that stuff.
Yeah, you're worse than I am.
I'm terrible. So I'll fake them out.
Yeah, well, you got to test people. If they're real, they're going to know.
Oh, yeah. That's why they throw you out.
By the way, when I say that, I'm not saying that it don't exist or nobody's real.
I know.
I know there's a lot of con artists out there. And, like I say, I do my own, so I know.
Well, that's another reason, and again, I've said this before on the tours, and, when I do tours for Haunted Asheville, on Tuesday nights at 8 and Friday and Saturdays at 9 and every third Saturday now at 8. But I get asked a lot of questions about, what kind of group, what kind of group do you have? And
Greep.
And,
we
meet.
New club, the Greeps.
Yeah, we're a gang now, the Greeps. Hey. But the amount of the interesting people we've met over the years in the paranormal realm, it's baffling because you meet so many cool people, and it's almost like they're movie characters because you really can't explain these people unless you introduce them. And some people are into this, some people are into that, some people have a specialty, and some people are into basically busting up dark magic, some people are into the light, some people are into dark, but there's just such a group of people out there that are so interesting. And if you give them a chance, they'll become great friends. And that's actually how we ended up meeting people like Shelley, simply through the tours and our old buddy JPW. So, I mean, we've been very lucky with some of the people we met. And they've been more than helpful over the years, and that's why I consider them good friends. I do have one topic before we go, Tiny. And this is kind of something that's been bothering me. And I know we touched on it very briefly, but you and I both know we're about a year and a half behind our normal amount of research.
Yeah.
And we still haven't caught up from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, unless we get 10 or 12 more people with all the leads we have and all the investigating we have to do, we're probably going to be a year behind for a couple of years, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, our last real official investigation was a couple months ago, and we still found some good research, and we've posted it. Here's my question. All of these people that keep talking about all this research they're doing and all of this new stuff they're finding, Tiny, where's the evidence? We haven't seen anything new. We were talking about that yesterday. One of our ideas was to look at video clips and kind of point out what's real about it and what may not be real about it. And the truth of the matter is, there's nothing out there that's new that everyone already hasn't seen and dissected. I haven't seen anything new. Have you?
No. And, it's not just from researchers either. It's like for a little while, you were seeing stuff pop up everywhere.
Yep.
From just random people, they happened up on something and they're like, y'all, what is this? I have no idea. They're not even in the cryptid or paranormal world, they just happen up on it and they go, what? You know, and it seems like, I mean, it kind of contradicts what I just said about everything ramping up, but I think it's still ramping up. But I think that the evidence, the things that are getting shared aren't.
Well, I tell you, man, I think, and again, deep down, this is still a conspiracy show. I think there's a reason for it.
We do it all.
We do everything.
We're like a Swiss Army knife.
Yes, we are. Okay. Anyway, we're the Swiss Army knives of the podcasting world, and or the Leatherman. I like my Leatherman now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but anyway,
right. Gotcha.
I don't think it's out there because I don't think it's being allowed to be out there. I think there was so much downtime with COVID. People probably had all this awesome research they were able to do. And then there's really no outlet for it to go out of because maybe someone says, no, the world's not ready for this. What you say on that? What do you think?
I think they've been doing that for a long time. However, I think that the paranormal and cryptid has greatly increased in popularity, and so much stuff was coming out, and of course, with advancements in technology and it getting more popular, there's a lot of brilliant people out there.
Oh yeah,
and not all of them are out here where people see them or know about them, but they'll come up with some stuff that's hard to dispute, and that might be somebody that's not even researching. They just look at something and go, "Oh wait, I know about this kind of thing in here." So I think that it was getting too much.
Well, I'll tell you, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's groups that I like. I think they're awesome. I've actually tried getting in touch with some of them. They have not contacted us back. I'm not sure why. I think sometimes groups are hesitant to get in touch with other groups because they're afraid of someone maybe trying to take over or something. Just you never know. It's one of those things. The cryptid world is a very strange world when it comes to working with other organizations, because everyone's afraid you're going to get that one piece of evidence that's going to make you the next Patterson Gimlin film, and that we're not like that. That's not our thing. But I have been listening to a lot of other podcasts, and let me tell you something, Tiny. I don't think anyone's getting any real evidence. I think, I heard one of my favorite podcasts the other day. They're offering reward for documentation of cryptids, specifically
Really?
Dogman, which kind of blew my mind. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I don't even remember the last time I saw an image that was, new of a Dogman or Cynocephali. I haven't seen it. I don't know where it is. I don't know if anyone's been posting it. I mean, I know there's a lot of stories, and I'm using air quotes, that are going out daily from other podcasters that I don't think are even remotely telling the truth. But I haven't seen any real evidence.
Yeah.
I've
seen, when you go out on the net and look around, it's all old stuff.
It is, and they'll try and remake it. I love YouTube. I'm on YouTube more than anything else. I probably watch more YouTube than I do Netflix. That's why our station's on there. We got Spreaker, but I'd say 99% of the time I'm watching YouTube just to see different podcasts or hear different things or just different representations of the cryptid and paranormal world. And there's nothing new under the sun. I haven't seen a new picture. I don't remember last time I saw new evidence. Again, I get a lot of stories. There's always a new story, but there's nothing to back it up. And I know you and I are both the first to say half the time when you run into something, the last thing you're thinking about doing is grabbing a camera or grabbing that. But it's there used to be video clips of people walking in the woods, and then in the background there was our fuzzy buddy, and we're not seeing anything like that anymore. I'm just not seeing it. It's not, I wish I was. I wish it was coming our way. I would love to have people send us evidence, real evidence. And I didn't used to think like that. People used to offer to send us stuff, and I'd be like, nope, don't want the hassle. Now it's there's such a lack of it. Yeah, please send it to us. Email it to us. Get in touch with us. Feel free. All our contact information is at the bottom of the page. It's Christian at cryptidguy.com. Hurst Cryptid and Paranormal .com at gmail.com. So it's not hard to get in touch with us. And again, American Cryptid Society, all our contact info is on there too. But I just find it hard to believe there's no new information.
There's not even, well, and it may be we're just not looking in the right place. Just, give benefit of the doubt. But there's not even like new stories popping up either.
No, I mean, like, I thought we were going to get a ton more of the UFO stuff. I thought that was going to hit us like a ton of bricks when, they were talking about it with the government and Congress. And that's kind of vanished. That's gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where's that? Where's all that information? It's just like, my point is just nothing new under any kind of cryptid umbrella, paranormal umbrella. I'm just not, if it is, I don't know where they're posting it. Like I said, the stories are a dime a dozen. I mean, and I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing these stories where there's nothing backing it.
Yeah.
I mean, because at that point they're just stories. They're not real.
But I mean, that goes back to the whole thing. But you can only really believe your own evidence.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a catch-22. Like, if we weren't investigating together, I could bring you something and you're going to be like, well, maybe, and vice versa.
Exactly.
So it's difficult, and that's what makes what we do so difficult.
Well, but here's an example of how that wasn't difficult for us recently. You and I attended the the second or third annual Marion Bigfoot Festival. Third annual Marion, North Carolina Bigfoot Festival. Had a blast. Met some awesome people. I got to close out the show. I was up there on stage. Had my buddy down there. It was just awesome. Had some of my students down. It was a real cool thing. Love that city. We've already been invited to headline next year. We've agreed to do it. We had a little rain issue, but there's nothing you can do to control that. But I will say this: I met some of the nicest people. I met the She Squatchers, incredibly nice group there. They were very friendly, very outgoing. We met some other people that were North Carolina based, and nobody had a nasty thing to say about anyone. And that's the first time I've been to any event where that happened.
I think, well, I can't really say I think. I wonder if that's because the groups that were there have previously worked together.
It's possible, but I'd never worked with either one of those. I never worked with any of them. Anyone that was on stage with, I've never worked with. It's like you said. I've only seen the She Squatchers on YouTube. And was it the North Carolina Bigfoot? Who's the guy next to us? Is that North Carolina Bigfoot? Real nice guy.
I think so, yeah.
Real nice guy. His family was with him. Hey, it's just nice to see a whole family like working together, and looking for evidence and doing research.
Yeah, really cool.
I thought it was cool. But like everyone we were down with was awesome. The guy running the event, guy named John Brunner. John Brunner, nicest guy in the world. He was there. This guy's indestructible. Guy had a heart attack at a baseball game 2 weeks prior to the Bigfoot Festival, and he's there running the show, making sure everything's running right, making sure everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Nicest guy in the world. And this, the city of Marion, North Carolina, love him to death. It's great people, just the nicest people around. So I'm looking forward to the next year's festival. I think next year you and I are going to do a few things different, bigger, better, badder. We had some cool new T-shirts done that we did pretty well on. With the logos. It's kind of, we had like a retro 80s kind of logo done for American Cryptid and Paranormal. And then, Cryptid Guy, still, we put the cynocephaly on the back with next to a human. I think people like that. Yeah. But I think the decorators, the designers did a great job with that.
Yeah.
So we've been very, very lucky. But, as I said before, I'm looking forward to next year, and I hope people come. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be, but we'll be posting all that. I'll tell you what, Tiny, man, it's good to be back. I don't like being gone this long.
Yeah. Well, we just had a bunch going on. I mean,
yeah, just too much.
My work schedule's finally getting organized, I guess you could say. There forever, I was working, my shortest check was 120 hours.
Yeah.
So it's finally getting in. I'm feeling good enough. It's time to get back in the woods, man.
Oh, it's perfect weather for it, too.
Because we've not been out since Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Tiny, I'm going to read the disclaimer.
Read it.
The disclaimer, folks, we're not responsible for any person who does something stupid after listening to our podcast. Please do not attempt anything we discuss on the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society podcast. And that's all the time we have today.
Leave stupid to the professionals.
Right. We have insurance policies for our stupidity. Besides, it would kill me if something happened to someone because of something we said. I would not be happy. Tiny, that's all the time we have. We want to thank everyone for listening. All right. And if you have a story or you want to be a guest on the show, please contact us through email, the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society at gmail.com. If you want to talk to Tiny about something it's not show related or that is show related, or you have a question about your property or maybe something strange going on and Tiny's your man to answer it, hurstparanormal at gmail.com. That's HURST paranormal at gmail.com. If you want to talk to me, you can get me at Christian at cryptidguy.com. And the good news is, if you want to call us on our 24-hour cryptid and paranormal hotline, you can get us at 1-800-329-4851. You believe we have an 800 number, Tiny? Did you ever think a couple of years ago when we were just, mulling this idea over, that we'd have an 800 number?
I think it'd be better if we had 900.
I'll check into it.
Okay.
Why are you going to bring that up? See, he's always trying to one up. He's always trying to one up me. I can't do it. My throat's too dry. Tiny, you got anything to say?
No. Other than, y'all, thanks for listening. I know we were a little bit everywhere on this one, but, we're just trying to catch up, say hi. Since we've been gone for a minute. I've had, I do the editing for the podcast.
He does an awesome job editing.
And my computer has been, we'll say in the shop. But it's finally
literally, it was in the shop.
Yeah.
Like, literally in the shop.
Yeah, me and a good friend of mine actually built me a really...
He's got a supercomputer now.
It's a serious computer.
We should put a picture. You should put a picture on it. We should... Remember War Games? We should call your computer Whopper.
Right. Whopper. Well, that would fit. My buddy put that little...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's hilarious.
I don't know what that is, but it's cool. It's a monster.
Cool.
It's a monster.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening. And our next one will be a little bit more on topic.
Yeah, we'll do what we do.
Any topics you want us to hear?
Well, I think, I mean, that's the other thing. Anything you guys want us to talk about, we'll be more than happy to just let us know. I'm the Cryptid Guy. Tiny and I thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to our channel and all of our digital media. It helps us out more than you can know. And remember, my friends, knowledge is power. And the only way to defeat the intentional veil of darkness that surrounds us all, battle the ignorance that shackles us to hatred, despair, and restore the balance, is to let the light in. So remember, my friends, always let there be light in your life and keep believing.